It seems all things are turning up cart.
Hey, there's some saying that 2023 might be the year of card. I don't know. I'm not here neither to confirm nor deny set statement. Let's just say it's off to a good start.
It's been a while since I've seen the victory glasses.
Well, I mean,
You've had a lot of victories this year. You've just kind of gone
yeah,
away from the victory glasses.
yeah. I was playing the humble card late 2022, late 2022. But yeah, that's all out the window in 2023. I'm in a different bag.
Not only did you get Michigan State beating Michigan, which is what we are here to talk about, but you also got the Detroit Lions, who, in the words of Jamal Williams, what was it exactly he said? What was his quote?
We the Detroit Lions. Stop playing with us.
Stop
We some
playing.
dogs.
Yeah. They are some dogs, according to Jamal Williams, or according to First Swag God Kagekaze. I, I don't know what to make anymore. That was a great win, though. We both enjoyed that one. Maybe next year for the playoffs, but we might have ended Aaron Rodgers' career, so that's fun. But we're here to talk about Michigan State against Michigan. We were at this game, filming College Hoops to Go. Episode 3, episode 1 of that series, by the way, drops this week. Our trip to Lincoln, Nebraska is dropping Tuesday. We got a little trailer video dropping today, Monday. So keep an eye out for that. Very excited for the world to see that. I think it's one of the best things we've ever done. Back to this game, though, we did quite a few like in-game reactions, post-game reactions, and most of our thoughts were generally, gosh, what an ugly game. Neither team really feels that good. Now that you've had a couple days to sleep on it and chew this victory up and spit it back out, do you still feel that way, Card, or do you have any bigger, brighter positives that you take away from Michigan State?
I think that overall we're a little bit negative just on the game being ugly. I think that because the game was ugly, I think it overshadowed some actual moments and points of the game that were positives and big. For honestly, for each team. I mean, I don't know necessarily you want to speak to some Michigan positivity if there are any in this game, but looking at smaller portions of the game, I think that there were some bright spots that I thought uh, Michigan State could really hang their hat on. I mean, I wrote about it for Spartan Rivals. Actually, I thought that the defensive game plan on Hunter Dickinson was well executed, and I thought it was just a good game plan overall. Tyson Walker and his timely buckets. I know during the game, I remember that there was about a 7-point lead, and Michigan was starting to make a run, and you actually looked over to me and you're like, a Tyson Walker bucket right now would be like that, like that senior guy kind of knowing we need a bucket and getting one. And he had that three that got a little Breslin bounce and dropped into the hoop and pushed the lead back up to 10. So, I
He
mean,
also
all
had
in
that,
all,
not sorry to interrupt. He also had that like it seemed like it was a whole possession where Tyson just like probed the entire court, kind of
mhm.
got turned around back middle, ends up under the rim and had to do a tough like up and under almost pump fake layup that I don't know how he made it, but that and the bounce three was kind of just like you have Tyson Walker buckets. Like Michigan was missing that guy from a backcourt perspective who like, oh, the game's getting dicey. Let me go just score real quick for you. Tyson and AJ both, I thought, did a great job of that down the stretch.
Yeah, and and looking back on the game too, I do want to send a shout out to AJ because I think AJ did a great job on both ends of the floor in this basketball game. I thought that he was able to accept the challenge of guarding Jett. Now, obviously, he didn't guard him the whole time. He did have a good portion of the guarding on him, but he was able to force him into an offensive foul, which gave him his second foul in the first half. I think we were just kind of able to frustrate Jett on that end of the floor. I mean, he ended up getting about 10 points, but I was stricken with fear when the first shot of the game he just banged the tray, and I was like, oh, it might get ugly. He might get going. But I thought we did a good job of kind of just making sure it was tough for him. So it was still an ugly basketball game, but maybe not as ugly as we thought.
Yeah, I also have some takeaways, and you hit on a few key ones. The veteran difference really matters to me, and specific to AJ Hogard. Like AJ's a guy who I think we would agree Michigan State fans and coaches all had very high hopes for, and he was definitely one of the best guards in this game. Like, as far as his individual matchup, like, he really smoked Doug McDaniel in this game. And I thought as the game went on, like, you know, they had the near 10-point lead. Anytime it got cut a little close, like, AJ Hogar was there to give them that cush in anytime that he could. So, you know, really impressive. Really good job by AJ in this one. 15 points, 6 assists, 4 rebounds. And he's the Spartan dog, right? He talking that shit. He doing his thing on the court. You can tell, like, I think he gets a lot of quote unquote leadership stuff, which I don't know that I buy all the way into, but like Graham Couch had a big article that I actually really liked that was like, it's easier to trust AJ Hoggard this year. And Izzo talked about that in the press conference a little. It's like, if you're going to go all in on AJ Hoggard being a key part of your team, you're going to have wild swings. And I think that's why he's been benched in big spots before. And I thought, you know, we've said he's played his most consistent stretch of basketball the last month. That really showed in this one. Like, he really had the one dumb shot. And other than that, I thought he was great the entire game. But yeah, between him and Walker and Hall, really, and even Hauser, who didn't play well, but like still led the game in rebounds, had the one bucket late that was critical at that point for a guy who'd been missing everything he shot. Like, Michigan State just had 4 guys who you felt understood the moment. Whereas Michigan, like Jett, had moments in this game where, oh my God, he's the most talented guy on the court. But then he would disappear for stretches. Like, he had the 2 fouls. He picked up the dumb offensive foul in the end of the first half that had him bench the rest of the first half. And then I thought in the second half, Jett started passing up shots. The moment just got a little too big for him. And, you know, I think you could say that for almost every Michigan player except for Hunter and to an extent Kobe Buffkin, but Kobe was a no-show in the first half. He just got to the free throw line a ton in the second half. And credit to Jaden Akins, really, for doing a great job defensively on Kobe Buffkin. So, I don't know. I like the veteran stuff was one. The second would be just Michigan State was great defensively to me in this game. And I don't think this is a great defensive team. I think they've had good defensive games, maybe here and there, a great defensive game, but this was the best defensive game plan and execution I've seen from this Michigan State team really this year or last year, because this feels a lot like last year's team to me still. And I know a lot of people disagree with me on that. And I think a lot of Michigan State fans think they have a higher ceiling, and I'm not mad at that. You can say that and I will not be upset. But I essentially view this year's team as last year's team without Max Christie, which is probably a good thing, and without Marcus Bingham, which is probably not a good thing. And like their defense has not been there. Like, that's been one of the reasons they've struggled for the most part. And I mean, they threw different looks at Hunter Dickinson. I thought they had Hunter completely rattled in the first half. The very first possession, they don't send a double. And I looked at you and I think I hit you and I'm like, it's going to be a long day. And then the next possession, they sent a double. And then Michigan didn't get him the ball for 6 minutes because they didn't know what they were going to do. And, you know, that's not a staple of a Tom Izzo thing. Normally, Tom Izzo is like, we're going to do one thing and we're going to be great at it. And that's it. And you're going to know what to expect. He was throwing different shit at them. And also, he's just like one step ahead of both Juwan Howard and me right now. Like, we spent all last week being like, oh, he's not going to send a double. That's what he did last year. I'm sure that's what Michigan expected. And then we got 35 minutes of Tom Izzo sending creative double teams. So,
but I want to touch on that point. I think that was big. It wasn't just a double team; it was a creative double team. Like, it was not every time. It was not off the same player. You know, it was just there wasn't a pattern to it. It would have made it easier for Hunter if he would have known, like, oh, this guy's past me, they're going to double, or, oh, they're doubling every time off of Terrence Williams, so I can expect set player to come at me. No one really knew. We doubled like randomly sometimes. We did a great job of digging in this basketball game as well. I thought Michigan dropped the ball a little bit. I remember telling you during the game that they weren't really cutting through or spacing out after they passed it into Hunter, so it made it extremely easy to dig in there and get back to a player like Doug McDaniel. So yeah, it was executed to perfection. I also think that, I mean, we differed on this when we talked about it during the game. I thought that Michigan could have done a better job of maybe just getting Hunter post touches, just kind of straight up on the block. I thought they put him in a lot of pick and rolls in the first half, which, I mean, obviously it could work when you're getting a screen set by Hunter, but I would have liked to see more so like block to block screens, and he catches it and he's way closer than he's been, and he makes a quick move kind of situation. I thought that there was way too many kind of stretches in this game where either Hunter wasn't getting touches or Hunter wasn't even on the floor altogether. So and this is in a close basketball game too, before it got up around that 10 to 12 point range. So yeah, it was a little odd to me.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Hunter also, I mean, I thought Hunter was very aggressive in his first stretch on the floor. Even he didn't get the ball every single time, but they started throwing doubles. They had a couple possessions they didn't double. He had the first bucket, and then I think he had like 6 shots in the first 5-6 minutes of this game. And he was like 2 for 6. And a few of the ones he missed were shots he very much normally makes. Like, I know in the second half, he had the 2 post-ups against Jackson Kohler that didn't go in. These were a couple face-up jumpers early that he had hit one of early, and honestly is a very high percentage shot for him. So I don't know. I kind of thought like he almost went a little cold, and then it became like, oh, we're just going to go away from him a little. You can't go away from him in this game. Terrace Reed, I thought, gave them really great minutes. Like that was the best Terrace Reed stretch of his career, in my opinion, that I've seen. He drew 6 fouls in 11 minutes off the bench. So like, you
heard my pregame statement, Greg.
I did. I'm not going to repeat your pregame statement, but he poses a different problem, and I don't know how good I think Terrace Reed will be in the future necessarily, but at least in comparison to Dickinson, right? Like there's a different level of quickness laterally from what he wants to do. And he took advantage of that. That said, Terrace Reed should not be on the floor when you're down 5 for the final 5 minutes of a half. Like in this game, in this spot, with Jett Howard and Doug McDaniel both on the bench with 2 fouls, you have to have your All-American center in the game. And we got to stop calling him an All-American center also. He's not an All-American center. He's a preseason All-American center. So that's my bad. But I found it baffling. Like it's like Juwan Howard wanted to pick that time to send a lesson to Hunter Dickinson from what I could see, but I don't know what that lesson was because I didn't think Hunter's effort was lacking necessarily when he was on the floor in this game. Maybe the success was, but I didn't notice any effort problems from him today.
Right. It's difference between missing shots and not putting forth effort. I think it was missed shots.
Yep. And then obviously, the answer when you've got 3 of your starters on the bench, the answer becomes let's get Jett Howard in the game. And we saw Jett Howard botch multiple simple defensive rotations in that 4-minute stretch. We saw him leave shooters wide open. We saw him foul hip check Malik Hall with 0.01 on the shot clock or on the half of basketball. Like we're going to the locker room in a 7-point game. Oh, wait, no, we're not. Here's 2 free throws because I'm going to hip check you. So if that's supposed to be like your defensive stopper, high IQ captain guy, I'm really missing what's there at this point. Like this is baffling. And then in the second half, we got less Jace. We got more Will Shetter. And I thought Shetter did okay. Like Shetter had a nice post up bucket. I would just like to see some fixes. Like Jett Howard didn't play when Michigan ran Maryland out of the building. And then now we're back to Jett Howard minutes, and he's doing things that directly impact the game in a negative way. And we still have to deal with that. The other thing, we said this in our post-game stuff, but like everything we just said is true. Like Izzo did a great job. Michigan State's defense did a great job. The leadership, the Vetty stuff was cool to see, honestly, even as a Michigan fan. Like I respect the way those 4 vets like showed up. At the same time, Michigan just couldn't make a shot. No. And like if Michigan makes 2 more threes in this game, it's a totally different game. If they just shoot 25% from 3 instead of 15% from 3, it's a totally different game.
Should have been like 11 until Hunter hit a couple late ones.
Yeah. It's just And again, Michigan State defense did a great job, but many of these shots were open shots. Kobe Buffkin, who shot great for the last month, was 0 for 3 from 3. Terrence Williams was 0 for 2. He had the big one late that I believe would have cut it to a 2-point game. And Kobe passed up an open 3. Seemed like he was struggling with his confidence for a more open Terrence Williams 3, and Terrence Williams barely hits the rim. So it kind of goes back to just like Michigan's roster itself isn't set up with great shooting, but even like Joey Baker was brought in to just be a shooter. He was 0 for 5, 0 for 3 from 3 in this game on pretty good looks. So like, I don't know. They like, it's a make or miss game. We know that. But I do think like there is a little bit of an element to this of like, damn, Michigan could have stolen this one because Michigan State kept leaving the door open and Michigan just could not execute offensively or could not make a shot.
Yeah, that's why at the same time I give Michigan State credit. I can think of at least a handful of instances in this game where Hunter actually did a pretty good job of handling the double team kind of out of that mid post and was able to use his size to see that skip pass basically over to the corner. And it was Buffkin clank, Baker clank, Doug clank, Jett, I don't know, probably a clank. We one day when we have more time, we might have to have actually a real discussion about Jett's game offensively.
Can we kind of do that right now? Just
Like
briefly.
he's a bucket, but he does not have a handle.
He does not have a handle.
He does not have a handle. There was way too much in that game. Him like rocking, going left, right, and not going like anywhere.
So he does not have a handle.
And also, why doesn't he like if he's gonna take like tough contested ones? You might as well take the least contested one. Like I would just catch and shoot. Like I feel like he doesn't do any catch and shoot, but he also seems like the type of player that actually might shoot better off the dribble. Like if he has like that rhythm dribble, but I don't think he did any catching and shooting in this game.
I thought the Jett was really rattled and not himself in this game more than any other game he's played.
First game in the Brez as a freshman.
Yeah, and I think you hope for something different from that. Like there are guys you can go back through the history books of that you got things that were different from in their first game in this spot. Iggy Brezdeikis jumps out even in the losses that year. Iggy's 0-3 in this rivalry. Like Iggy showed up. I think he had like 22 points his first game and was arguably the best offensive player on the floor. Jett to me was shook. He was shooketh. He looked different than he's looked all year. He was passing up open shots that we've never seen Jett Howard pass up at all, especially late in the game. I thought like, it's an 8-point game, 7-point game. You're trying to get shots up from deep really, and Jett won't shoot. So like if Jett's not going to shoot, nobody on this team should be shooting. His handle's bad, but oddly enough, like they put him in spots that don't expose that very much until this game. Like a lot of the time, the action Jett Howard is used in actually makes him look like a very good secondary playmaker and decision maker guy. Like they get him off curls and he has like a quick, just one read to either rise up and shoot, keep dribbling, or make a pocket pass. And he's a pretty good passer, but he's a pretty bad, just like, okay, one-on-one time, let me create a shot for myself. And he hasn't been asked to do a lot of one-on-one isolation stuff. And then all of a sudden in this game, there was a bunch of times he had to do one-on-one isolation stuff, which is, again, credit to the defense, but also like Doug McDaniel's on the bench. Michigan's shook in general. The crowd's going crazy. They're not getting into their action. So, okay, the ball finds Jett. Let me try an ISO. And he's not there yet. I don't know if he will be there. If you are looking for anything to like point and say, hey, this guy's not an NBA guy right now, with his defense plus the fact that he can't go one-on-one, like that's pretty clear to me. Like if he does go NBA, he's just going to be a role player at best, at least early. There's some stuff I'd like to see him develop. So that's where I'm at on Jett right now.
Yeah, and I feel like if you're going to be a guy who's a bucket and a set shooter, you got to have some type of defensive acumen to stick in the NBA.
Yeah. Yeah. So. No, and that's like you compare him to Caleb Houston, who we've made comments before. Jett's worse defensively than Caleb Houston. which is saying a lot. But at the very least, Caleb's limitations were not IQ related, in my opinion. And I don't mean to come on here and call Jett dumb, but like Caleb, to me, there was never a question of his effort or his basketball IQ.
Yeah,
Jett,
he had Luka Garza feet.
Correct. Jett, I still have those questions because I don't think Jett has Luka Garza feet. Jett just is in the wrong spots constantly and is not doing anything defensively. So I don't know. All right. Do you feel, I mean, this puts both these teams in a 5-game tie at the top of the conference, actually a half game behind Purdue after Purdue went 3-0 last week, I think, maybe 2-0 last week. Do you feel better about Michigan State's chances to like win this conference?
I feel the same kind of as I did before. I think the conference is down. We'll find ourselves. We put ourselves in a position to find ourselves in the hunt, but like we're really gonna see this stretch coming up from us is tough, like super tough. Wisconsin, Illinois at Illinois. And then Purdue at home Monday at the Breslin. Like it's a rough stretch coming up. I was telling you yesterday, like according to Torvik, we're underdog, and I think eight of the next 12, 12 of the next 14, maybe something crazy like that.
Torvik doesn't know ball.
I mean, I always say it, the only analytics guy we acknowledge on this podcast is Evan Maradona, but
that's also not Evan's last name, but.
It's what I call him. Oh, sorry. I guess it's his promo. So Evan Miyakawa.
Thank you.
EvanMia.com. Go subscribe. But yeah, we're gonna see. I don't know. I'm the same. I'm not up. I'm not down. I'm just wait and see.
Yeah, I mean, I think this was a very important win. I think Michigan State's chances of finishing in the top 5 are greatly improved by this win. And you've heard me before. I think they're like an 8th, 9th place finishing team. Right now, they're in a really good position to finish higher than that. So I liked what I saw. I give them credit. Same cannot be said for Michigan for me. Like I hated what I saw from Michigan mostly in this game. So like, but also, I don't know, Michigan State, like, is better at rock fights, I think, right? Like this is kind of what Michigan State didn't necessarily want like a pretty win in this game. They would have liked to make more shots too, but like that was a strangle you by the neck game. And Michigan State is, yeah.
Keep chopping.
Are we still liking keep chopping? I heard this win was for Mel. That's what I was told. Tom Izzo said this win was for Mel, which is actually incredibly selfless because Tom is aware enough to know that Mel struggles to get his own wins. So now he can take Tom Izzo's win and put it on his mantle like he did something.
You mean the man that's 2-1 versus Michigan?
I'm just saying. What was his overall record this year? Was it 5-7?
I didn't really get to watch much this year.
Got it. 2023 card. Oh boy. Any final thoughts, Cart, at all? I mean, fun trip to East Lansing.
Definitely fun trip. Graduate East Lansing hotel slaps.
It does slap. You are now friends with Mateen Cleaves.
Yes.
Never thought I'd hear you say that.
No further comment, but last thing I want to say as my closing statement is just buckle in, Spartan Nation, because there's a good chance that this season continues to go kind of steady and well, but if it going south could happen. So stick together, try to be positive, and try your best not to be racist, everybody. It's very easy not to be. Don't say racist things.
It's incredibly easy to not be racist. Good words, Cart. My final word, although I felt like that should have been the last moment of the episode. Sorry. The final word from me, Michigan and Michigan State collectively might hold the keys to whether or not Purdue runs away with this conference. Because in the next 6 games, Purdue goes home to Nebraska, at Michigan State, at Minnesota, home to Maryland, at Michigan, home to Michigan State. If they go 5-1 in that stretch, they're winning the conference. So
you seen that meme of like the black guy and the white hand? They got like the very strong muscles and they like linking up and they're getting the high five.
yep.
That's Michigan and Michigan State joining forces to make sure the Boilermakers don't win.
We have a job to do in January, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go do it.